Hi, I'm Cassidy.
I'm Sarah.
We have a very exciting topic about facility planning and design of food service. So let's get it started. All right. So I'm going to move this so you can see. The good design is a critical function for a food service. So 50% of employees' time is spent walking, talking, watching, and waiting. So a good design for a food service facility is to decrease that so they don't waste as much time and they're more efficient and they create more business. And they also want to improve productivity, food service quality, employee comfort and safety, and customer appeal. So the layout and design are key factors for the success or failure of a food service. So it's important to get it right from the start so that you have successful food service. Also, it is the responsibility not just of the builders of that are going to build the facility, but also the food managers. They know what's going on and they're part of the process. So the overall goal is to attract customers and retain the employees. So there's 10 key concepts for a successful food service, and we'll go through that throughout the PowerPoint. So the first key point, we're in the way of this, sorry. The first key point is the preliminary preparation for facility planning, and that key point is about the service design should include a study of the current trends in food design, innovation, and equipment and design, regulatory codes and operating license required, and specific needs for various types of service. So the different trends that go into affecting the food service design are such things like dining out, because nowadays people dine out a lot more than they dine in the restaurants. Menu items, because now we're shifting to a lot more people want healthy options instead of the fried foods. People are searching for salads or wraps. Employee concerns. So it's important to attract people to work there because you need employees. So that goes into things like the floors are easy to clean, and easy to sanitize things. It's not going to be dangerous to the employees. The environment is a big concern for people, so they want to create less space and use less energy within the food service facility. The economy is also a big part. So if the economy is down, the food service might be down, so they might have to adjust their prices of the menu. And also the safety and sanitation of the facility. So there's also different developments as time goes on. They develop different innovations for food service to make them more efficient. So you have to be up to date on that. And then there's also always the regulatory concerns from federal, state, and local laws. And this also includes the Americans with Disabilities Act. So that's just stuff like including ramps and having it able for people in wheelchairs or with disabilities able to work and eat there. We'll go into more depth with that later. And also health department permits. And there's also many specific considerations for special types of food services. So like if it's a commercial food service, I'll flip to the pictures. So this would be a two commercial food services. The two Chipotles, it shows a type that would be in a city. So it's in the city, you want it to be able to where you can get there from work. They only have like a 10-minute time period to walk there and eat lunch and go back. So it's got to be convenient. In a suburb setting, which is the other picture of Chipotle, you have to have space for parking and all that. So that also comes into play. And then the bottom picture is a hospital, which is a different type of food service because mostly you're bringing the food to the person. So their cafeterias are all different. And also with universities, the way that they set up their food service is easy for students to come in and out. And also they want to have it on easy first floor levels, things like that. And this picture is a picture of a correctional facility. And that's a special case because they have to keep things locked and they don't want to have interactions between the employees serving the food and the inmates. So that goes into the facility design as well. So the next key point is the first step in the facility design project is to prepare a prospectus, which is a written description of all aspects of the project under construction. So there's 3 parts to this. It's the rationale, which includes the title of the project, the reasons for the project, the goal, and the objectives. Then there's the physical and operational. So if this is the architectural design and features, including the menu details, food prep, employee and customer profiles. And also the last part is regulatory, which includes sanitation, safety, and energy type and use for the food service. So the questions that they base this on is questions like, what is the food service trying to accomplish? What are their goals? How many people and what age groups will be served? And what forms will the food be purchased? Hours of service, things like that. That's what creates this whole prospectus. So the next part is the planning team. So the planning team may include all or any of the following members: the owner, the administrator, food service manager, architect, food service design and consultant, equipment representative, business manager, builder, contractor, maintenance, and mechanical engineer. So they create a feasibility study which justifies the proposed project if it's worth pursuing. So they collect data from about potential sites, customers, community, competition, revenue cost of construction, renovation, and equipment, and they kind of compile that all together and see if this is a good investment and project for these people to pursue and if it will make revenue, basically. And if they do a good job in creating this feasibility study, it's more likely that it will become a design and a facility for the thing. So yeah. Okay, the next one is the menu. So the menu is the key in it for the whole facility. It derives the layout. It decides what type of food will be served, obviously, and the food prep methods, and determines the space required for that food prep's equipment. And it also will decide what type of staff's needed. If it's like a fry cook place, you just need fry cooks, or if you need more skilled employees, then you'd have to hire those. So you need to know what type of food will be on the menu. And you also the menu decides what type of storage you have, and you create a sample menu so you can kind of figure out what you need for storage, portion size, utensils, batches, necessary work services, if you're going to share equipment or if you need to duplicate certain types of equipment for people to use. And the evaluations of production, service, and acceptability and feasibility. And the 5th one is about the architectural features, which are important for determining project cost, ease of cleaning, good sanitation, safety, adequate type and amount of lighting, and temperature control for high productivity, noise reduction for a more pleasant work environment. So this is essential for the cost and ease of cleaning, good sanitation, adequate type of lighting and temperature. So all these things come into play for different types of restaurants. So if you're in a restaurant at the beach, you want to have, big open lighting. So because natural lighting is good for the appeal of the food and the whole restaurant. And that goes into the color of the walls, what type of floor there is. And like the picture of the Mexican restaurant, you want to play with the theme of your type of restaurant. So if you're at a, Mexican restaurant and you don't want to have a totally wrong theme, like a Japanese style, that would just not make sense. So that all goes into play. Yep.
So next, it's the budget and cost relationship. And all initial expenditures must take into consideration the project budget and also such factors as operating costs, life expectancy, conformance to sanitary standards, and provision of comfort for employees and customers. And the planners usually have a predetermined budget, which is what the project will not exceed. And they try to plan efficiently. if the budget is a fixed amount, there may be necessary restrictions for quality and quantity. And the same goes for if like the top priority is quality of the fixtures and equipment, it has to be flexible in the cost and quantity. And so in the book, it talks about thinking of cost, quantity, and quality as a triangle. So there's that. Yeah. Next is design development. And there are two types. The first step in design development is to determine the optimum space allowance and draw a flow diagram showing the location of work units. And there's also, in the schematic drawing, equipment is drawn to scale in each work unit with required traffic aisles and workspaces included. Schematic drawing, it obviously, there's a picture and the floor plans, and there's a flow diagram, a possible arrangement of equipment. And for the space allowance, in relation, they have to have an appropriate amount of space to prepare, serve food, and so there will be a good flow and there's no traffic or congestion, so they can get out an optimum, like in a good amount of time to serve the food. And there also has to be a lot of space for the flow of customers coming in and out. The Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, it mandates some general guidelines for implementing reasonable accommodations in the workplace and dining areas for persons with disabilities. It protects the rights of those with disabilities. The accommodations include installing ramps, widening doors, and lowering the counters. There's checklists that they have to follow by. There are 7 different work areas, and the first one is receiving, and that's where a truck will come in, and there's usually a platform or just like a loading dock, and there's a lot of floor space so they can check in and examine and weigh and count all the different types of food they have in. There's usually a large space for that to happen. The height of the platform is usually about the size, like the normal height of a delivery truck. And then the second one is the storing and issuing of food. They want that to be close to the delivery entrance, so the goods don't have to be moved too far. And there's dry storage, which is like cans, staples, and grocery items, which is easily accessible to like the bakers or just the cookers unit. And there's also walk-in fridges and freezers or reach-in fridges, and those used are for perishable foods. Another one was the pre-preparation and the essential ingredients. It's where they have the basic ingredients and they weigh them and they measure and count it out and they send it to the actual prepping area. And they also have that for the vegetable prepping area for like salads and anything else that's going to need like vegetables cut up into it. For preparation, there's equipment in each station based on the needs of what type of food they're making. Say like Chick-fil-A, they have a station for chicken, just chicken. They have a station for like making the salads. They have a station for like making the drinks. And so they have all the equipment they need based on like what they have to do. For the food assembly and serving, there are various prep stations for the servers to go and put the food together. Say at a hospital, like at the hospital, there is
they have to have special food for people that have maybe just need a liquid diet, because that sometimes is the case. They can't have real food, so they have to have mostly soups, Jell-O, things like that. And then there's people that can have a more, other types of food, but maybe restricted to other things, so they have to separate that out.
Next is warewashing, and that's where they wash the dishes, silverware, glassware, trays, and pots and pans, and those are all done separately to make sure it's cleaned perfectly and there's no like extra bacteria, especially in hospitals or like schools where a lot of people come through. And then lastly, the supporting services, and it must not be forgotten, and it's like spaces for the employees, restrooms, lockers, showers, and hand washing. For the mechanics of drawing, they require a bunch of different tools and techniques like paper, ink pen, ruler, tracing paper, and masking tape. The scale is usually 1/4 of an inch to a foot. So when they make it, they make that on the paper. They use symbols like for
a lot of architect stuff that we
don't have.
Yeah.
They use lots of symbols like for doors, walls, windows, outlets, appliances, all that kind of stuff. And then separate drawings are made for like plumbing, electrical, and gas installation. And once like those have all been made, they're coordinated and checked really carefully. Designing by computer. The computer-aided design and computer-aided manufacturing, that's a software program used to assist in designing and the layout of a facility. Converting two-dimensional drawings to three-dimensional computerized drawings. It can replace the method just described before of mechanics of drawing. And then there are lots of add-on packages available for like different types of companies. The architect's blueprints, they're thoroughly checked of the thorough check of preliminary plan is done after it has been seen by the dietitian and the food service manager, and then the blueprints are produced. And when reading the blueprints, one must keep in mind like the scale of how it's going to be made, and then these are some symbols right here that will specify special features. And lastly, there's the specifications and contracts. They must present written documents when giving like a bid to someone to build this. They list general conditions and work to be done. When completed, they're made available to bidders. And 3 weeks before scheduling opening, this should be prepared, and it's a punch list and it's a detailed checklist that would reveal any defective, substitute, or inferior equipment so that corrections could be made before an opening or training date for a new or renovated facility. And then performance tests are done.
So finally, our discussion question is, what type of design/functions of different food service establishments do you think are most effective and make you want to come back to eat or work there again? Thanks for listening. In community.
Does that always?
Yeah.